If you have a U.S. company or you want a U.S. bank account, we've found recently that getting a U.S. address is more and more complicated. In this video, I'm going to show 6 different ways that you can get a U.S. address. And if you want to say, who is this guy James and why do I want to listen to him? I am an international tax consultant. I'm a U.S. based licensed CPA. I help clients set up and grow their businesses. And part of growing your business is being able to get paid. And part of being able to get paid is having bank accounts. And part of having bank accounts is having proper addresses. If you open an LLC and you're from another country, as long as you're not from a restricted country, you can open the LLC with a foreign personal address, but you need a US business address that isn't aggregated. I have six different ways to get a US address, and I'm going to go through all of them in this video. And I'm going to go through the proof of addresses as well, because you need to be able to prove that it's your address. First of all, there's different types of addresses. There's personal residential addresses and there's commercial addresses. I live in a residential address and my business office is a commercial address. More and more commonly, businesses don't have commercial addresses because people work from home. So if that's the case, if you're using a mail forwarding service, like if you're using my main office, generally we've opened so many accounts for clients that it comes through as like a mail forwarding, not a real business address. First, I want to go over what kinds of proof of addresses there are. Because once you identify an address you want to use, you need to be able to prove that it's your address. So I have a list here and I'm going to go over the list. So when we're talking about proof of address, for many banks, a sublease isn't working. So if I'm renting an address at my dad's house, I can't just have a document saying I'm renting it from him. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's just one option. When we go to the address hierarchy here that I have, it's a short little thing. I need to add more to it. But the first option is a sublease, and that could work for personal or commercial, but it doesn't always work. So that's just option 1. It's easiest. You can make it yourself. It's a virtual sublease. Option number 2 would be a bank statement. So if you have a bank statement specifically at a physical bank, like at Chase or Bank of America, a personal bank statement, that is the best. That's really good. So if you were in the US visiting your cousin and you open a personal bank account, then you have personal proof of address. The same works for a foreign bank account, but generally we're talking about getting US proof of address here. Credit card statement would be another one. If you have a business or a personal credit card, that statement can work for proof of address. Your name would have to be on the statement. Same with the bank account. Like the bank statement would be a personal or a business bank statement, and that would be the proof of address for either the personal or the business. The next is this Vonage Home Internet. Vonage Home Internet has been working for a personal address, residential address. It's pretty cool. It's only $9 a month. You can just set it up and then stop it, I guess. I have clients that just use it forever, and it's proof of residential address as a real legit receipt. The next are going to be phones, like Connect by T-Mobile. These are cheaper phones than like T-Mobile. We're working on how we can apply for these remotely. Often they need to be applied for in the US, but try it out. There's different phone bills. So a phone bill, the Vonage Home Internet was utility bill, and then you have phone bills, which could be for personal or for business. You usually need to open a business account if you want proof of business address. What usually works for proof is having the articles and the EIN number match the address. That's generally working for the bank. So the next one, you could get liability insurance. If you go to hiscox.com, no affiliate link, but you can just buy the cheapest insurance policy you can find, and then you have an insurance policy as a proof of address. I think insurance is probably better than a phone. But if you can get a phone bill, it's worth a try. These are different things, again, we're just trying out. I've been told that a Netflix bill might work as a utility bill if you have a Netflix home internet, just because of how they're running their tracking. Those are the main options, right? I went over the difference between residential and commercial. One is where a person lives. And I went over in the last, like 2 videos ago, I went over the distinction between looking it up on smarty.com about whether an address is residential or whether it is commercial, and if it's commercial, whether it's a CMRA or a mail forwarder or some kind of blacklisted by the institution. So if it's from a major, highly advertised company, like these banks have software that limits applications to like 50 per address. So even if it's a different subsuite, it still will block it out as long as to 50 to the address. So let's go through my 6 different ways to get it. We already went through so much preface. So the first option that I really love, and the best option, the most recommended option, is family or friends or people you know. If you have a friend in LA, just say, hey, I got a quick package for you. Send them a Vonage. Then whenever you open a business bank account using that proof of address for your personal proof of address, all the mail still goes to your business bank account. You can change where your mail is going. When you apply to a credit card, the mail will generally go to the residential address for the credit card application, but that's just something you got to look into and make sure it works for you. So that's my first option that I always want to choose is family or friends or people you know. And just to say, I would say like, hey, Fred, I have can I use your address for a quick letter I'm going to be getting? It's something really simple. It would be really helpful, and I don't think it'll matter to you at all. Number 2 through 6 are progressively worse. So this is the best option. Like direct family is great. Often the mail won't even go there. There won't be any mail there, so you can just pick an address. Number 2, Anytime Mailbox. As I went through anytimemailbox.com or other online, Anytime Mailbox specifically has thousands of options, and you can look through whether something's commercial or residential. But on Anytime Mailbox and with Smarty, as I went over 2 videos ago, you can look up how an address is coded, and there are every 2 out of 10 on Anytime Mailbox are actually coded as residential addresses because you can sign up on there. So that's an option that you can open a business address that's like remote, that's not used for many bank accounts, and also a residential address, which could be really, really helpful to lock down, especially if you're traveling to the US and you want to just get a bank account open, use that as your residential address, bring in your proof of address, maybe bring in 2 things, and you'll get that personal account opened. Because when you're opening a personal bank account, you need personal proof of address. Number 3 is True Lease or commercial option. There are those options where you can pay $200 a month and get a utility bill and get an address. I don't think it's necessary. It's kind of a lot of money. You could pay us about the same and we'll do it for you too. It's just not like how we advertise our service. Those options exist, and I guess they work for people. I have clients that use it. They have the commercial and the regular, like the residential option on True Lease, and you can see the distinction there. I'm actually still recording, so we can go to that. This is True Lease, a lease agreement for commercial office, a utility bill for proof of address, and on-site office inspections and call verifications. It's a real office that I think like 10 people get to use, so they do a cheaper thing. So services require proof of address, bank, Amazon, Shopify, merchant accounts, Dun & Bradstreet, all that stuff. I guess they do. This is business proof of address. So often if you have personal proof of address, you can use a business mail forwarding. So that's what we're generally recommending for clients, is to get a personal proof of address, and we help with it, facilitate it. It's not required, but it can be helpful. And then use us or another professional mail servicing as a business address. And now, disclaimer, this is not advice. This is just me talking and making entertaining content for YouTube. But you can just pick you can use random address generator and just make up an address and then get proof of address for that. If you go to random address generator, address is 6, do it. Let's run it, and it gives you a bunch of random addresses that don't really exist. You can look them up, you can see if you want to use it, and you get proof of address for that, and you use it, you put it on the bank account, and if they're not going to mail anything there anyways, who cares? So go to Smarty and check this out really quick. Smarty.com. Let's check one Oak Ave in Floral Park. No, let's check the one in California, 8817 Wakehurst Road. Unknown address. That might be a problem, but it's a made-up address. It picked it on the map. I don't know if this works. Not a good idea, but you can run it through and see if you get a good one. Okay. The next option, number 5, is go on Craigslist and make a friend. And let's try that out. Let's go to Craigslist. Go to mail forwarding. Mail and packages. See, this is just an address. Professional business address, Houston. Like residential mail forwarding. Let's try this. Proof of address. Ooh, private room with bathroom and medic. You don't think if you can find an address with a private room for rent, you can contact these people and tell them, hey, I'll give you $150. Can I have a utility bill with my name on it? And they'll say, yeah, sure. And that's it. And then, hey, you forward a letter. It's not the best option. That's why it's number 5. I actually want to move this up because it's looking at pretty promising. I want to move this up from the random address generator. It's a little more work, but it could work. And option number 6, before we end the video, just buy a house. Buy a house, a residential house somewhere in the U.S., and just use that for mailing. Rent it out. It'll be an investment. If you need help with any of this stuff and you're tired of watching videos, trying to help you figure out how to get addresses and do all this stuff, schedule a call with me and the team. We help you guys do this stuff and save you time so you can get back to making money, okay? I appreciate you being here watching the video. I hope this was helpful. Don't get in trouble, but there are options for getting addresses. I'd love to work through it with you, and stay tuned. I have more videos coming. Thank you. See you later.